Welcome to this recording of Healing by God's Unlimited Power. This profound discourse was originally delivered by Paramahansa Yogananda at the Self-Realization Fellowship Temple in Hollywood, California, on August 31, 1947. We are honored to share his divine insights and timeless wisdom with you today. There are three kinds of illness: physical, mental, and spiritual. Physical sickness is due to different forms of toxic conditions, infectious diseases, and accidents. Mental sickness is caused by fear, worry, anger, and other emotional inharmonies. Soul sickness is due to man's ignorance of his true relationship with God. Ignorance is the supreme disease. When one banishes ignorance, he also banishes the causes of all physical, mental, and spiritual disease. My guru, Sri Yukteswarji, often said, "Wisdom is the greatest cleanser." Trying to overcome various kinds of suffering by the limited power of material curative methods is often disappointing. Only in the unlimited power of spiritual methods may man find a permanent cure for the dis-ease of body, mind, and soul. That boundless power of healing is to be sought in God. If you have suffered mentally over the loss of loved ones, you can find them again in God. All things are possible with His help. Unless one really knows God, he is not justified in saying that only mind exists and that one does not need to obey health laws or to use any physical aids for healing. Until actual realization is attained, one should use his common sense in all he does. At the same time, one should never doubt God, but should constantly affirm his faith in God's omnipresent divine power. Doctors try to learn the causes of disease and to remove those causes so that the illnesses do not recur. In their use of many specific material methods of cure, doctors are often very skillful. However, not every disease responds to medicine and surgery, and therein lies the essential limitation of these methods. Chemicals and medicines affect only the outer physical composition of the bodily cells and do not alter the inner atomic structure or life principle of the cells. In many cases, no cure of disease is possible until the healing power of God has corrected, from within, the imbalance of lifetrons or intelligent life energy in the body. The two basic causes of disease are underactivity and overactivity of the life energy, prana, which structures and sustains the body. Improper functioning of any one or more of the five governing pranic currents: Vyana, responsible for circulation; Udana, in charge of metabolism; Samana, handling assimilation; Prana, managing crystallization; and Apana, overseeing elimination, adversely affects bodily health. When the natural harmonious balance of these subtle energies is restored by God's divine power, the atomic balance of the physical cells they nourish is restored. The healing is perfect and often instantaneous. So long as balanced vitality is maintained through right living, proper diet, and pranayama meditation, which are techniques for controlling life energy, the body's own life energy electrocutes disease before it can develop. Injury and disease are more often the cause of death than is old age. Most people die before true old age has set in. In some cases, and they are exceptional, all parts of the body grow weak at once. Such persons die without pain, like ripe fruit that falls in due time from the tree. But the majority are plucked from the tree of life before they are really ripe for death. In most cases of death, one bodily part has ceased functioning before the rest. It may also happen that if one part is stronger or more developed than another, the resulting imbalance of the life force in the body may cause suffering and even death. For example, someone with a weak heart in a strong muscled body may injure his heart by overuse of his muscular strength. Sandow, the strong man, died at 58 when a blood vessel in his brain burst as a result of his having raised a car single-handed. Overexercise that leads to unbalanced development may thus have harmful consequences. The Self-Realization Fellowship Yogoda Satsang energization exercises place the least strain on the heart and provide for a uniform development of the body. Simple outdoor exercise, such as walking, balanced diet and moderation in eating, and quiet meditation are all conducive to health. Obey nature's laws and have more faith in God. A master may ignore, without ill effect, dietary and other rules for health. The ordinary individual, however, should be careful to maintain physical well-being by right observance of the laws of nature. One's diet should be wisely chosen. The body requires for health certain amounts of starch, protein, and fat, but in excess, they can be harmful. Very little starch is necessary. Bread is no longer held to be the staff of life. Too much starch in the diet, especially from white flour, causes an overaccumulation of mucus in the body. A certain amount of mucus is necessary, of course, for joining us into the mucous membranes. Eat abundantly of foods that contain a high proportion of mineral salts, such as fruits and vegetables. This type of diet prevents constipation, which, when present, predisposes the body to many diseases. Nature tries by reflex action to remove causes of physical distress. When dust gets into the eye, we involuntarily try to wink the dust away. When dirt or dust enters the nose, we sneeze. If we eat something unwholesome, we get rid of it by regurgitation. When disease attacks any internal organ of the body, nature provides many means by which the organ may protect, defend, and renew itself. However, owing to various habits of living that alienate most men from nature, their innate powers of recuperation and rejuvenation become impaired and are prematurely lost. Harmful microbes are ceaselessly attacking the body. Good ones are ceaselessly defending it, aided sometimes by diet, herbs, medicines, and other health measures. But an unlimited source of protection for man lies in his strong thought that as a child of God, he cannot be affected by disease. Mind has much greater power than medicine, but to deny any power to medicine is unreasonable, because if drugs have no power, a man could take poison and not die. While one should not deny the potency of medicines and drugs, one should understand that continuous dependence on them will prove their limitations. A time will come when they will lose their former efficacy in restoring the body to health. The only infinite power of healing lies in man's mind and soul. The body cannot be healed by spiritual means if the mental power and faith are weak. Permanent healing comes through the boundless power of the mind and through God's grace. Fruits, vegetables, and nuts, superior to meat. According to one school of thought, some diseases may be cured by eating the organs of animals. A savage devours the heart of a lion in the belief that his own heart will thus be invigorated. The tissues of chicken hearts are known to have a strengthening effect on the heart of man, and the liver helps those who are anemic. However, many health authorities state that iron and vitamin-rich foods such as eggs, cashew nuts, soybeans, molasses, dried apricots, dried lima beans, dried peas, parsnips, spinach, and parsley may successfully be substituted for liver in overcoming anemia. Pepsin taken from animal organs is useful in cases of stomach ulcers, but papain, a substance very similar to pepsin, is present in the fruit of the papaya, which is a valuable healing aid to those who suffer from any form of impaired digestion. When man is sick, he may feel justified in eating anything that has healing value, but animal flesh is not actually necessary for this purpose. Indeed, it may increase the bodily burden by contributing toxins to the bloodstream. Thus, while flesh foods may aid in healing one illness, they sometimes create a condition whereby another disease may develop elsewhere in the body. That is why the safest diet for man is fresh fruits, vegetables, finely ground nuts, and vegetable and dairy proteins. In certain cases, the system may not tolerate raw fruits and vegetables, but the average person will benefit by including them daily in his diet. In vegetables and fruits, God has infused medicinal power to help in overcoming disease. Even these, however, have but a limited potency. The organs of the body are essentially sustained by the energy of God, and the person who employs various methods to increase this energy will have at his command a greater power for healing than is afforded by any medicine or diet. 3/4 of the body consists of water, so the demand for water is much greater than for food. In fact, death by thirst causes more acute suffering than death by starvation. Therefore, it's important to give the body plenty of water. Drinking unsweetened fruit juices is also beneficial. In localities where water has a calcium content high enough to dispose toward hardening of the arteries in man, he should take instead fruit juices and watermelons, cantaloupes, and similar juicy fruits. Some health researchers say, however, that persons who have sinus trouble should not take citrus juices. Make it a point to drink plenty of liquids, though not soda water beverages, to help wash away toxins in the body. However, avoid drinking liquids with meals, as this can harm digestion by encouraging you to swallow food without chewing it properly. If starches are not partially digested in the mouth, they often do not digest fully in the stomach. To chew food well is important. The stomach has no teeth. Hasty eating is harmful, particularly if large amounts of liquid are taken with the meal, thus diluting the gastric juices. Also, drinking liquids with meals gives a tendency to obesity. It is important to keep the bloodstream healthy. Beef and pork may release into the bloodstream toxic poisons and microbes. The white corpuscles try to destroy the microbes, but if the latter are strong, and if the white corpuscles are insufficient to resist them, toxic reactions set in. For meat eaters, fish, chicken, and lamb are preferable to beef and pork, which are highly acid-producing. The most important principle in connection with eating is to avoid any form of overindulgence. As one learns to restrain himself, he becomes healthier. It may often happen that one's desire for a certain food is so great that he thinks he cannot resist it. His senses dictate to him, saying that he must eat that food, even when he knows it may be harmful to him. If he refuses to perpetuate his bad habits, he will find that he comes to dislike what is injurious and to like what is beneficial. Greedy people fill themselves, and still they are looking for more food. By overeating, they dare to strain a heart pump that has been overworked for perhaps 40 years. Many persons thoughtlessly eat late at night. Usually sleep soon follows, during which man's internal machinery slows down. The food may lie in the stomach without being properly digested. Eating shortly before the nightly rest is therefore unwise. There is nothing worse for body and mind, however, than drinking intoxicating liquors. Under their influence, a man may do things that in his right mind he would be ashamed to do. Violence, greed, lust for money, and sex, even murder may result from drunkenness. The belief that wine, sex experiences, and money will bring happiness is said by the sages to be the chief delusion that man must overcome in order to realize his true nature. Liquor increases man's desires for money and sex, and it is therefore the worst evil of the three. It is an unnecessary and extremely dangerous indulgence because it stifles reason. A drunken man is no longer a true man. It is wisdom to strive to maintain only normal appetites. Increase your natural resistance to disease. Fasting is a natural method of healing. When animals or savages are sick, they fast. The bodily machinery thus has an opportunity to cleanse itself and to obtain a much-needed rest. Most diseases can be cured by judicious fasting. Unless one has a weak heart, regular short fasts have been recommended by the yogis as an excellent health measure. Another good method of physical healing is through suitable herbs or herb extracts. In using medicines, one often finds that they are not powerful enough to bring about a healing, or that they are so powerful that they irritate the bodily tissues instead of healing them. Similarly, exposure to certain types of healing rays will burn the tissues. There are so many limitations in physical methods of healing. Better than medicines are the rays of the sun. In them is a wonderful healing power. One should take a 10-minute sunbath every day. 10 minutes a day is better than only occasional exposure for longer periods. A short sunbath daily, reinforced by good health habits, will keep the body supplied with sufficient life energy to destroy all harmful microbes. Healthy persons possess a natural resistance to disease, and particularly to infections. Illness comes when the resisting power of the blood has been diminished by wrong eating or by overeating, or when overindulgence in sex has depleted the vital energy. To conserve the physical creative energy is to supply all the cells with vibrant life energy. The body then possesses a tremendous resistance to disease. Sexual overindulgence weakens the body and renders it vulnerable to illness. One naturally has a better chance to overcome sickness in youth than in old age, though exceptions exist due to karmic conditions. The average length of life today is 60 years, but many doctors agree that careful living can easily increase one's lifespan. Mahavatar Baba and a number of other great masters have lived for several hundred years. Life may be prolonged indefinitely, not by food, medicine, exercise, sunbathing, and other limited means, but by contact with the immeasurable power of God. We should think not only of the body, but also of the spirit. If we attain perfection in oneness with spirit, we shall find perfection in body also. Many persons are continually busy looking after their physical welfare but neglect the development of their minds. The key to all power lies in the mind. If one fails to cultivate that power, when serious disease comes, he may die without making any resistance, regardless of his age. Conserve the vital energy, follow a balanced diet, and always smile and be happy. He who finds joy within himself discovers that his body is charged with electric current, life energy, not from food but from God. If you feel that you can't smile, stand before a mirror and with your fingers pull your mouth into a smile. It is that important. The healing methods I have touched on briefly in connection with food and the cleansing of the body by herbs or fasting are limited in their effectiveness. But when one is joyful within, he invites the help of the inexhaustible power of God. I mean a sincere joyfulness, not that which you feign outwardly but do not feel within. When your joy is sincere, you are a smile millionaire. A genuine smile distributes the cosmic current, prana, to every body cell. The happy man is less subject to disease, for happiness actually attracts into the body a greater supply of the universal life energy. There are many things to talk about on this subject of healing. The main idea is that we should depend more on mind power, which is illimitable. The rules for guarding against disease should be self-control, exercise, proper eating, drinking plenty of fruit juices, occasional fasting, and smiling all the time from within. Those smiles come from meditation. You will find then the eternal power of God. When you are in ecstasy with Him, you consciously bring His healing presence into your body. Permanent healing comes from God. Mind power carries with it the unfailing energy of God. That is the power you want in your body, and there is a way to bring in that power. The way is communion with God by meditation. When your communion with Him is perfect, the healing is permanent. When the causative power of God comes, the healing effect is instantaneous. No time is required for cause to ripen into effect. Many people in distress try to evoke that power, but when they are not healed at once, they lose faith in the Lord instead of continuing to try to enlist His aid. The man who clings to the divine is bound to be healed because God knows that the devotee is praying, and he cannot but respond. But when you give up, the Father says, "All right, I see that you can do without me. I shall wait for you." The supreme power may be invoked by continuous faith and unceasing prayer. You should eat rightly and do whatever else is necessary for the body, but continuously pray to Him. Lord, Thou canst heal me because Thou dost control the life atoms and subtle conditions of the body that doctors cannot reach with medicines. The external factors of medicines and fasting have a certain beneficial effect on the physical body, but they do not affect the inner force that sustains the cells. It is only when you go to God and receive His healing power that the life energy is directed into the atoms of the bodily cells and produces instantaneous healing. Wouldn't you rather depend more on God. But the attempt to change one's dependence from physical to spiritual methods should be gradual. If a man accustomed to overeating falls sick and with the intention of trying to achieve a mental healing, abruptly starts fasting, he may be discouraged if success is not forthcoming. It takes time to change one's way of thinking from dependence on food to dependence on mind. To be responsive to the healing power of God, the mind must be trained to believe in divine aid. Out of that great power, all atomic energy is throbbing, manifesting, and sustaining every cell of the physical universe. As moving pictures are sustained by a beam of light coming from the projection booth of a movie house, so are all of us sustained by the cosmic beam, the divine light, pouring from the projection booth of eternity. When you look to and find that beam, you will behold its unlimited power to rebuild the atoms and electrons and lifetrons in all body cells that may be out of order. Commune with the great healer.